Well, what I assumed was going to happen did happen. Without being able to pull this piece of steel back, it's doing what's called, they call it kind of tin canning. What that means is I can pull the dent out, but it won't stay out. It just pops right back in its place. And I mean, I can do it by hand. And that is real common when you can't get the steel bent back the way it's supposed to be. You can heat it and cool it with a wet rag, and in some cases you can get it to do what you want. Generally, with the way this is bent, and I really don't have all the proper tools to do this right, and this was a 60% chance of failure anyway, that this door was going to have to be replaced, and that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. What I was trying to do is, it looked like crap with all the Bondo and the paint flying off of it, and I wanted to see if I could, if I could salvage it, because it was already starting to rust, and so before it got bad enough that it wasn't worth saving, I thought I'd give it a try. And it's what it is. There is a body line that's actually right here, and it actually is still there till about right here, and then it's gone, and it continues on here. If I could bring that back, it would probably help with some of this. But even if I run a string here and try to bend that back, I just don't think it's worth the time and effort to mess with it. It's creased in such a way in so many places that and I can't get behind it enough to to use like a hammer dolly, because if I could straighten those out, this stuff would start coming back, and then like I said, if you had some pressure here while you were pulling on it, and be able to get behind it and give it a couple of taps where it would stay where it belonged, then you'd probably be okay. But I know a couple places that's got 2 or 3 of these 2 doors laying around, and I'll call them and see what they can do for me, and I'll just have to replace the door. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and take all these pins off, clean this up, and throw some primer on it. It'll stop it from rusting. It'll still look like crap, it just won't look as bad. Well, yeah, well, it's going to look like crap no matter what, but at least it won't have paint, or dead steel shining. I didn't get to finish my story. The BMW battery was dead, so I charged it, like I said, yesterday, and then I ended up having to do it. Actually, it was the night before, and then it was dead this morning, so I charged up, got it started a little while ago, let it run for about 15 minutes, and I'll probably put a charger back on it tonight, because I'm going to take it over to AutoZone, have them check it just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure the battery itself is no good. But what got me this morning was I had left the GPS hooked on to the Mustang sitting here in the garage. I drove it for about a week and a half. I didn't think much about it. Come out and the battery was dead in it, and so I had to mess with that this morning, and of course I had to make 3 trips over to the shop because I kept forgetting things. I didn't bring that puller. I had the stud gun, but I didn't have that good slide hammer. I forgot I didn't have an extra battery. I handled that jump box, try to get the Mustang started, so I had to go back over and get it then. Of course, the initial taking the truck back, getting this out of the shop, and getting my tools and stuff together to do this. But anyway, so this is what's going on. I could play with this more, and I could probably get it to where I could salvage the door, but it's just not worth the time. To do it right, if it wasn't for the lock being there, I would probably, and I had to save this door. Like, this is the only door left on the planet. I would literally cut that section out, beat it back into submission, and then weld it back in. And that's always doable, but just basically patch with a patch you have, you just straighten it up. I've seen it done before. That would allow me then to kind of beat this back, and then whatever need to be filled up could be done with weld. Because that's basically what you do here. I want to take you off the tripod. I'm just going to kind of explain something to you, because I've seen this done several times. On these old cars, the gaps weren't that important to them, and the newer ones are so much better. And if you drive anything German, it's always really tight. They're exactly the same all the way throughout the car. Well, this gap was pretty good size to begin with, but what you can see is it's smaller there, then it gets fat, and then it's smaller up there at the top. To get this out, there's a couple of things you can do. I've actually seen people take a piece of brazing wire and actually weld it on this edge of the door. and you know, just keep tacking it just like you would putting a piece of you know, like a patch in. And then once that's done, then you grind it down and fix it up, and then you get that back. The other option, which is what I would probably do, is you take your 4.5-inch grinder with a cutoff wheel, and you actually slice this quarter right there in front of that body line some, about, you know, 8/4 inch in, whatever. And then you can actually bend this out, and then when you get what you want, then either tack, and if it's too big of a gap, then you can use that same setup. But generally you can fill it up with enough weld. It just takes a little time, but that will get that body line back to where it looks a lot more presentable. And I'm sure I'll have to do that to possibly this one. If like I said, I know I'll get another door, and this quarter, like I said, has been replaced, so that always changes, you know, the original, you know, how the original stuff was set up. But anyway, I'm gonna kind of get off here, and like I said, I've had my battery issues today, and I'm kind of about done with that. And then I had a feeling this wasn't going to be savable, and it's just well beyond, you know, what my expertise is. And you know, they had actually factored it in the adjustment that the door was going to be replaced. So you know, you can't buy skins for them that I have found anyway. So that's what we'll do, and I'll just get another door and put it on there. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and take those pins out, clean this up a little bit, throw a little primer on it, get inside, put the door panel all back together, and then call it a day. So we'll talk to you guys later.